Um, all right, guys. So as I was saying, I've been here at AIM since 2018. This is my sixth year now. Before that, I was teaching for about 10 years in Kentucky. I was at a Hopkinsville Community College there for 10 years. Originally, I'm from India. I came here as an undergraduate student, so I've actually been in the US since fall of 2000. And obviously been here since then. I have two masters. One of them is in mathematics, and yeah, so I've been teaching. Honestly, I've been teaching math for close to like 20 some years. I started as a graduate student and I've, done that ever since. Just a little fun fact about me, I love to travel, and I really enjoy reading. So those are like two of my big things that I like to do. Reading can be challenging sometimes when you're working full time, so I don't get as much time to read as I would like to. But yeah, that's two of the things I really enjoy doing. So what I would like us to do before, we get into the nitty-gritty of the course is you could go ahead and introduce yourselves to me and your classmates. So just start with your name. What's the last math class you took? When was it, if you remember, when was that class you took? And why are you taking this class? And if you want to share a fun fact about yourself, I'd love to hear that. So I'll call out your name as I'm seeing you on my screen, so that way, you're not talking at the same time. So Cameron, you're the first on my screen. Would you start, please?
Yeah. Uh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name's Cameron. I this will be, let's see, the last math class I took was trigonometry last semester. And then what was the other thing?
Why are you taking this class? And a
Oh, that's
fun
right.
fact about yourself.
So I'm taking this class because the program I want to go into with medical science, it's going to require a statistics class. So I
Okay.
figured I might as well do it now.
All right, wonderful. And anything else you'd like to share with us? All righty, wonderful. Thank you, Cameron. I appreciate it. All right, Libni, you're next on my screen.
I'm taking this class because I need it. I think my last math class was college algebra or something. Took it last semester,
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Right. Any fun fact you'd like to share with us? No? All righty. Hey, Omar.
Hello.
So
Um,
go ahead.
yes, so I'm Omar. Last math class I took was in high school, so a little while ago. I'm taking this class because it's required for my major. I just need a math class, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Do you remember when was that last class you took in high school? Like how many years
I
has
think it was 2 years ago, I think.
2 years ago? Okay. Wonderful. Anything fun fact you'd like to share with us?
Um, no, I mean, I guess I'm bilingual. I guess that's a fun fact.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful. All righty. Thank you very much, guys. I do appreciate that. All right, let me share my screen with you so you guys can see the D2L course shell here. And you know what? Let me put this in student mode so it looks a little bit more like what you would be seeing. So obviously, any announcements that our class will have, you will see them posted here. So that would be right as soon as you come into your course shell. Most of the information that you need for this course is going to be under the content module. So uh, what you really want to do is you want to start out with that course information submodule at the left-hand side. So you want to start at course information, and you will see there's lots of information that I have posted in there. The getting started just helps you kind of see, what to expect from this course, that sort of thing. If you want to receive reminders, I will be posting announcement, but if you want to receive reminders about upcoming assignments, exams, And even though we will be in a classroom face to face, this is like another way for you to receive reminders. So if you would like to receive reminders, you can go to this link over here, and basically you just enroll. There's the link there. You just enroll using your ames.edu email address. Up until fall of 2024, so last semester, they were allowing you to sign up with your cell phone also, so you could get like a text message if you wanted, but I believe they were going to stop that service. And honestly, I have not received any update from their service, so I'm not sure if they stopped the cell phone service or not, but you can definitely get signed up with your email address if they are not doing the cell phone option anymore. So that's just if you want to receive reminders about upcoming assignments and that sort of thing. Now, if you have been a student at Ames for a while, then you will know you have email option through D2L, which is where I sent an email this morning informing you guys about the change in our class meeting today. So if you want to consolidate your email where your ames.edu and D2L emails are received in the same place, you can actually forward. So the instructions are here, but I can show you how to set that up. So you go under your name, you click on account settings, and when you come to this page, you go to the tab that says email. And if you scroll down on that, it gives you the option of forwarding your email to your ames.edu email address. And you will see that's kind of how I have mine set up. So you can do that, so that way you don't have to keep coming to D2L to check your messages. By default, it will be in your ames.edu, the one that we access through Gmail. It will already be in there. So you can do that by forwarding that. Also remember, we have in-person tutoring options at Greeley campus and also at the Fort Lupton campus. On Tuesdays, I believe, is the Fort Lupton. So if you wanted to schedule an appointment online or in person, you can go through this instructions here on how to book your appointment. Some other information is I've put a link for the Zoom office hours here. I'll include our classroom Zoom link also, because you guys will have the option of attending in person, but if you are sick, your car breaks down or something like that, then you can attend on Zoom like you're doing right now. I'll go ahead and include that link, and then just information about myself over here, so you can go ahead and take a look at that. I'll come back to the course syllabus after I've shown you everything else, but I've also created a separate section where you can kind of have a quick look at what our course schedule would look like. So you know what we're doing week to week, so you can see that. And then you can kind of see when our exam dates will be. So as you'll notice, there's only going to be 2 exams in this class. We're going to do a midterm and a final. So we're not doing individual chapter exams, especially if you've taken mean class before like Cameron has. That's something we're changing here in statistics. We're not doing chapter exams, just 2 exams in the semester. So that's kind of a quick glance at, just what is happening. I've included technology resources. With statistics, you will actually see we use extensively Google Sheets. Now, you can, of course, use Microsoft Excel if that's a program you're familiar with. But Google Sheets is just a easier and readily available option, because not every student has Microsoft Excel on their computer. So that's why I use Google Sheets. But you will see a lot of similarities between the 2 programs. So we'll be using that extensively. And then when we get to the last couple chapters, I think starting chapter 9 is when we'll be using StatCrunch. So you're not going to really be using StatCrunch up front. It's going to be much later. And then some just instructions on some TI-30 calculators here. But yeah, Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel will definitely be our biggest resources that we'll start off with, okay? Here are some just general resources from the college, so you can see all the different options here. You can see the link for tutoring over here, so if you wanted to do that. The class handouts and classroom lectures are from previous semester, but that's just another additional resource that I have in there. If you wanted that for extra help, you can do that. But if you go under weeks 1 and 2, which is where we are starting out at, you will see we are going to be focusing on chapter 1. And we may actually start chapter 2 next week, but this is just kind of like the broad picture over here. So this is what we are kind of hoping to do this week, is finish chapter 1. This is another place where you can find the Zoom classroom link. So this is and sorry, I need to change that. We're not an online class. You will find your handouts and textbook links under the read option. You will find previously recorded video lectures under the view option. And under the view option, which there probably is nothing in this one, just the video lectures. Oh no, I do have. So you will see I include some links from YouTube. These are video lectures that I have created. And then if I have students like asking me for help on homework, a lot of times this is where, if I've recorded a video, this is where I will post those videos. So you can see there is actually something here from section 1.3 to homework problems that I have posted. So that homework help also is under the view section for each chapter, each week's assignments. Like I said, under the reading option, the read submodule, you will find your textbook and the handouts that I have used in the past. So that's kind of how these weekly submodules are set up. So yeah, that's what you will look for. And then this is the homework platform we are using here, guys. So we are using MyStatLab, which you may know as MyMathLab, but the statistics portion is called StatLab. So there are tons of links in here. First at the top, you will see I've included the formulas and tables from the textbook that we will be using. This is a formula sheet that one of our instructors, Professor Ray Brown, has created. So you can kind of see how he lists the textbook and Microsoft Excel versions of formulas to use. So you've got that. Just the table of contents from your textbook to show you which sections we are working on. But what I want you guys to focus on is you will see once you start seeing that MyLab Statistics name showing up, this is a link to your textbook. So you can go to your textbook from here. And you will actually need to click on this link first before you start doing the links in other sections, because this is where your textbook honestly stays. So you need to click on this link first if you are going to start accessing your textbook. So just remember that. So yeah, you can see this was what your textbook will look like. You can click on this little menu option here and you can navigate between chapters. If you click on that little tiny arrow over there, you can open up different sections. So this is what you guys will need to do, because you will need to read chapter 1 before our class on Monday, because chapter 1 honestly is terminology. Getting to know the different words, the different concepts that we will be doing. So there's a lot of reading. Now, I could read this out to you, but trust me, it would be very boring if it's just me sitting and reading this out. So I want you to read chapter 1, and that's going to be sections 1.1 through 1.5. Okay, so again, like I showed you, go under the table of contents option, click on chapter 1, and then you can navigate between the different sections over here. Or by default, it takes you to chapter 1, and then you can use the bottom arrow keys to move between pages. Okay, so that's going to be your textbook for this class. And that's the reason why we don't have you purchase a physical textbook. Now, if that is something you want because you're more comfortable with the physical textbook, you can do that. But if you're okay with an e-text, it's right here available under your MyLab Statistics option. And then you will see, guys, there's the course homepage. You can go on that. Now, your course homepage will look a little bit different because this is probably going to take me to the instructor page. I'm not sure. Yeah, see, it's taking me to the instructor home. So yours is going to look a little bit different than what mine does. But yeah, I mean, it should show you what assignments are coming up, what you need to work on, and that sort of thing. Now you also have links that take you to all assignments, so you can click on all assignments and it will show you the entire list of assignments you have available in My Stat Lab. So you have the orientation homework just to get you comfortable with how to enter answers and stuff like that in My Stat Lab. And then you will see your homework assignments for each of the chapters are there. So that's kind of how My Stat Lab will look like. If you wanted to see your grade book, you can see there's a link for grade book. There are also links that separate the homework from the quizzes and tests, but I by default go to all assignments because I just think it's easier to see the entire list of assignments you have. So you can do that. There's a link for StatCrunch, but remember StatCrunch we will not start using till chapter 9. Like I said, if you wanted to see your grades, the grade book in My Lab Statistics is going to be your best option. Obviously right now it's not going to show anything, but as you can see, it will show you what your overall score looks like. And then once you start working on assignments, down here is where it will start listing all the assignments separately. So to enroll in My Lab Statistics, you really just need to come to this tab over here, My Lab Statistics or My Stat Lab, and then click on any one of these My Lab Statistics, Course Home, or All Assignments. Just click on any one of those links and it will automatically enroll you into your homework software. Okay. There is also a study plan here, guys. So if you wanted to do just extra practice without affecting your homework grade, like you didn't want to mess with your homework, you've already got, a good grade there, but you just needed extra practice, you can come to study plan. The multimedia library has videos, animations, and a lot of assistance if you needed extra help. Again, if you're stuck on a problem and maybe it's a time of the day where I am not available, tutoring is not available, this may not be a bad idea to go and see what resources are there. Like I said, there's tons of, little things they have in here. So it can be, like I said, videos, animations where it kind of walks you through different examples. So you can kind of see test prep videos, applets of different kind, PowerPoint. So there are a lot of resources. You can just say which chapter you are working on, which section you are working on, and then select what kind of help you need. So that would be under the multimedia library for My Lab Statistics. So lots of resources here, guys. It would be a great idea to go and look through them and see what you need to do. Okay, let me just show you kind of what the homework platform looks like when you get in there. So it kind of shows you how many questions you have under the homework assignments. We'll start at question 1. And again, if you have used My Math Lab, obviously then this program is familiar to you. So like I said, chapter 1 is mostly about learning the concepts, learning the terminology. So these are going to be, there are going to be no calculation-based questions here. Most of these are going to be just understanding the different concepts. But you will see at the bottom, they also offer you resources. So you've got a video here. So you can click on that and you can see kind of how they go about explaining the concepts to you. So you've got a video resource here. If you wanted to go look at your textbook page for this section, section 1.1, you can click on that and you will see it will pop up with the textbook for section 1.1. Give it a second to, load. So you can see it pops up with your textbook page. And then if you go under Get More Help, you will see there are going to be other options. So depending on the problem you are working on, Get More Help has different options. So of course, it's showing you the link for StatCrunch, which we don't need right now. You can have a calculator here. So, if you didn't have a handheld one, you have a built-in calculator here. You can also email your instructor. So if you're stuck on a problem, my email address is already in there. So just, type your message, whatever you need to type. I'm stuck on this problem. I've tried this process. Does this not work? Whatever you want to say. And then you can say send, and it will, of course, come to me. When you get into calculation-based problem, guys, you will also see links in here for help me solve this or view an example. So two more options will show up. So help me solve this walks you step by step through the problem. But what happens is after you finish doing help me solve this, it gives you a new problem and then you have to solve it yourself. Okay, or you can do view an example, and view an example will show you the steps that you can then use, in your own problem that you are working on. I'm trying to see how I can get out of here. Okay. So let me see if I can show you an example that actually does have calculations in it. This may actually still be a definition question. Yeah, okay. All right, something like this. So you can see how you have the help me solve this option here and the view an example option here, and then some of the other options move under the get more help. So like I said, if you do help me solve this, it's going to take you step by step on how to solve the problem. Once you finish that, it actually gives you a new problem that you have to solve yourself now. Or you can do view an example and you can see it walks you almost step by step. Sometimes they're not very detailed because they assume you kind of know the different parts of breaking down, but sometimes they can be detailed if it's a big problem. So you can kind of see how they walk you through step by step, and then you can use that to solve the problem on your own. So yeah, just look through the view and example. Looks like this one is multiple step problems. Anyway, you can come and then do your math once you see that. So those are some of the resources that are available in my math lab, my stat lab, whatever you want to call. Now, I know this is showing chapter exams in here, but remember, we're not going to be having chapter exams. So I'll go ahead and disable those. I haven't done that yet. We are only doing a midterm exam and a final exam. So you're not doing individual chapter exams, okay? Just kind of keep that in mind. And let me see. I think I've talked about all the other resources. All right, guys, so let me show you the course syllabus very quickly. Talk about the different, classroom requirements we have, and then I will answer any questions you guys may have about this. So just your class information at the top, what class this is. We are a 3-credit-hour class. Our normal classroom where we will be meeting, hopefully starting next week, is going to be at the Fort Lupton campus in the Prairie building. It's room 113. If you guys have taken an English class there, then you may be familiar with the classroom because that's usually where the English classes happen. So that's where they've placed me this semester. So our meeting times, guys, is Mondays and Wednesdays, 2 days a week from 2:45 to 4. And we are a full semester length course. So we are a 16-week course. As I introduced myself, I am Meha Daruka. I do prefer to be addressed as Ms. Daruka. I've included both my email addresses here for D2L and the ames.edu. It does not matter which one you send the email to because, like I said, my emails are being forwarded. So even if you send it to D2L, I will get it on my ames.edu. So either of those are okay. Phone number here, guys. So usually, I actually don't even have a physical phone in my office because they took it away, but I will receive a voicemail on my email if you leave a voicemail on this phone number. So, everything when COVID happened shifted to online. So our phone service is technically an online phone service now. So I don't actually have a physical phone in my office anymore. So office hours, the reason it says by appointment only is because office hours are flexible. So if I am available, I will meet with you anytime, be it morning or afternoon. Now, of course, I'm on campus on Monday, Wednesdays when we meet for our class. So if you wanted to meet me before class or if you wanted to stay after class and meet with me, that would be fine. But if you wanted to like schedule a special time, if I'm on campus that day, we can meet on campus or we can meet on Zoom like we are meeting on Zoom right now. So, because if it's on a day when you're not on campus or I'm not on campus, we can also meet on Zoom. So don't think that because it says by appointment only, I have very limited time. It just means the time is open and flexible. So we just find a time that works for you and we can meet at that time. So, if you just needed extra help with homework, if you had a question about class, anything like that, I'd be happy to help. Just to keep some deadlines in mind, so the drop deadline for this class would be February 3rd. So, if for any reason you have to drop this class, that would be the deadline you would be looking at. So remember, when you drop a class, it does not show up on your transcript. But if you withdraw from a class, which that deadline is April 9th, it will show up with a W next to your class if you withdraw from it. And then, of course, you do not get any tuition refund either, reductions or refund from a withdrawal. So just two deadlines in terms of drop and withdrawal to keep in mind. We have our link to the academic calendar here. If you wanted to see different deadlines, due dates, holidays, and stuff like that, you can do that. If you wanted to see what different student services are available, that's the link here. And then, of course, we've also got resources for anytime you need help with counseling or, anything like that. All right, guys. So the prerequisites for this class, as you can see, is determined by your high school transcripts, if you've taken any assessments, or your conversation with your Ames academic advisor. So since you guys are here, I would assume you meet the prerequisite requirements, okay? The resources for this class, guys, we are using the textbook that I just showed you. Now, again, you do not have to physically buy the textbook. You can use the e-text version. We are using MyStatLab as our homework platform. Like I said, we extensively work with Google Sheets, or you can use Microsoft Excel if that's what you're more comfortable with. And then starting from chapter 9, we will be using StatCrunch. You are allowed to use a scientific or graphing calculator, but I will show you how to use Google Sheets, and that's a built-in calculator in itself. So I honestly don't use a lot of scientific or graphing calculator unless I want to do a quick calculation on the side, and I might just use that. So if you have a handy handheld scientific or graphing calculator, bring that to class with you. Or you can use Desmo's scientific or graphing calculator. And then, like I said, Google Sheets will be our next, highly used program. So remember, guys, we are talking about statistics here. So you are going to be doing descriptive and inferential statistics. We will start with the descriptive statistics parts, which is where we'll be doing our graphs, charts, tables, histograms, those kind of things. And we'll be getting into mean, median, mode, mid-range. So our averages, we'll be getting into range, standard deviation, variation. So our dispersion or variation. So we'll be getting into that at the beginning. Then we'll build up from there into talking about probability distributions. And then we will, of course, also talk about probabilities and, talking about like odds of, a chance that something might happen and those kind of things. So that's kind of the progression that this class follows. So we'll start with the descriptive first, and then we'll do the inferential from there. And of course, our idea here is for you to be able to analyze the data. It's not just about are you able to calculate these values, right? The idea is, what do you understand after you have calculated these values? What kind of information can we gather from them, and what kind of conclusions can we come up with? So remember, this class is not just about can you do the math, but it's also about can you understand what the math is telling you, okay? So we will try to put in some real world applications, some real data to you so that we can, then, like I said, kind of make sense of what we are looking at. So learning outcome, guys, you can see the different topics we will be focusing on. So these are the 7 main topics that we focus on in this class. And then you can kind of see how we break down each one of these 7 topics. So the recommended topical outline is just further breaking down each of these 7 big topics, okay? So you can kind of look at them if you like. You should also know that this is a guaranteed transfer course, which means if and when you transfer to a 4-year university, as long as you have a grade of C or higher, you should be able to transfer credits. But keep in mind, some programs and some universities may only accept a grade of A or B. So if you know what program you are going to or which institution you are going to, you may want to check and see what their minimum grade requirement is, okay? So yeah, if you have a decent passing grade, this class will be guaranteed transfer to any 4-year higher institution or 2-year higher institution in Colorado. So these are their requirements and their breakdown, so you can kind of see the GT pathways competency stuff in here. Ames also has their own learning outcomes, so you can kind of see those at this link. Kind of like today where we had to change the meeting from an in-person to Zoom. That's kind of what it talks about here, under what conditions that might happen, so you can kind of look at that here. Obviously we are in the spring semester, which means we are going through all of the winter months here in Colorado. So just keep in mind, if we are all able to come in on Zoom, if it's like a snow day and college is closed, we will try to meet on Zoom, unless of course, there's a major power outage and internet is down. We cannot meet. That would be the only time class will be canceled. But most days, if we are not able to come to campus, we will definitely meet on Zoom. So just kind of keep that in mind. You can see the code of conduct from Ames. Perspective, how we have all the, obviously based on federal, state, and local laws, sorry, and the college regulations. So you can see all of that here. And then the reuse of instructional materials. You can use it for class, but obviously not something that you want to share beyond the class, okay? All right, guys, let's talk about our classroom policies specifically. So since we are an in-person class, you are expected to come to class every time the class meets, either in person or I offer you the Zoom option. If you are able to come in person, that's the best way to attend class, because we're right there face to face with each other. You can ask questions, and ask for help if you're struggling with anything. Now, if, like I was saying before, if you are ill, if you are having trouble getting out of your house because of snow or car not working, any reasons, or maybe you have a family member who's not feeling well and you need to be there to take care of them, then in those situations it's okay to attend on Zoom. But since you did sign up for a in-person face-to-face class, every time we're on campus, I would expect you to be there, okay? If for any reason you have to miss class, obviously email me and let me know what's going on, why you cannot attend. And then I would say contact somebody in your class and find out what happened. But I also try to record all of my lectures, even if I'm attending, if we're having class in person, I still try to record the lecture, so that way you guys have something to go back and look at. If you get stuck on anything, if you just needed to see, oh, how did we do that example and how do I break that down? So I do record our video lecture. So if it happens to be a day you missed, you should be able to go back and look at a recording, okay? So if you needed to go and look at something. One thing you should keep in mind is this little guy right here. So if you do miss class and your attendance drops below 90%, you will not be able to take the midterm exam or the final exam. So just keep that in mind. We do have a 90% attendance requirement. So, technically we meet 30 days in the entire semester. So 90% means you have to attend at least 27 out of those 30 days, which means at the maximum, you can miss 3 days of class time. But I would say, if to be on the safer side, if you do miss class, or if you're coming to class late or you have to leave early, go to the tutoring office in the Fort Lupton campus or the Greeley campus, or you can also attend tutoring on Zoom if, going to Greeley is not an option. You can make up that missed class time by going to tutoring. So that way, you can be sure that your attendance does not fall below 90%. So keep it above 90% and you are safe. Okay. Now for Zoom classroom, I do have some requirements. Obviously, make sure your camera is turned on and I can see you. Don't have your camera pointing to like a wall or a window or a ceiling. Because if I cannot see you, then I cannot interact with you. I know you cannot see that, but I have all of your videos open right now. So when I'm talking to you and not to like a blank screen. I've also included the Zoom classroom link here in your course syllabus, but I will post it in D2L also. So yeah, just make sure you are, not lying in bed, you're not sleeping, not driving. I do not want you to be in a dangerous situation. So get somewhere safe and then get on Zoom. Do not do this while driving, please. And you can read all the details there, guys. I don't want to go through all of that and take your time. So normally I try to reply within 24 hours unless it is the weekend, and then I'm usually not online. And then, of course, since we will be meeting 2 days a week, if you guys have any questions that you would like answered directly, obviously ask me while we are, in person in class. And yeah, email is the best option to reach to me outside of class time. I'm not really on any of the instant messaging services that we have through D2L or even on our Gmail. So email is the safest and the best option to get in touch with me because I do not check any other format. So email on D2L or ames.edu is fine. Here's our grade breakdown, guys. So you have your homework, quizzes, and if we do any like in-class assignments that are for grade, all of those would add up to 30%. Your midterm is 30%, and then your final exam is actually in 2 parts. So that actually adds up to 40%. So that's your grade breakdown. You can see the grading scale here. So it's the standard grading scale. 90 to 100 is an A. 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, 60 to 69 is a D, and below 60 is considered failing. So as far as Ames goes, a 60 to 69, a grade of D is considered as passing. But as I was mentioning before, some programs may only accept an A or a B, maybe some might accept a C. So even though D is considered passing, a lot of programs and institutions may not accept D for a transfer grade or a passing grade. So just kind of keep that requirement in mind based on your program and school you want to go to, okay? I do have video lectures, and as I was showing you before under the view section, so you do have video lectures if you want to go watch those ahead of time, so that way you're prepared. When you come to class, you know what we're going to be talking about. You can do that. It would definitely come in handy. We are using MyStatLab as our homework platform. So this is where you'll find homeworks, quizzes, exams, and the final exam. Guys, you also have a requirement of 90% on each homework section. So to be able to get to your exams or quizzes, you need to make sure that each homework section of your chapter will have 90%. So if you would have noticed when we were in here in MyStatLab, you had little green flags next to your chapter exams and your quizzes. So you will see it tells you if you hover your mouse on top of those green flags that you must have 90% on all the homework sections before you are able to get into your quizzes. And again, I will be removing the chapter exam, but that's going to be the same thing for the midterm. Also, you will have to have 90% on all the chapter sections before you are able to access the quizzes and the exam itself, okay? Quizzes will be on each chapter, so you will definitely see chapter quizzes, but make sure you meet that 90% requirement. And also you actually do get 3 attempts on the quizzes, so you get to try the quizzes 3 times. Like I said, there might be other assignments we might work on. So we may do discussions, we may do hands-on activities in class. And if we are doing them for a grade, then that's where these will come in. If we're just doing it as an in-class activity and we're not grading it, then of course that wouldn't count. So it just depends on, do we do it as a graded assignment or do we just do it as an in-class assignment? So here's your midterm information, guys. So there's only going to be one midterm exam. You must have 90% on the homework assignments and you must have 90% on your attendance, okay? The midterm, and I'll show you the dates here, is scheduled for right before we go on spring break. Your final exam is given in two parts. You have part one and part two. So same kind of rules for the final. Also, make sure you have 90% on all homework assignments and 90% on your attendance to be able to take. The exams will be password protected and you will receive the exam on the day of the exam when you come to class. Exams cannot be taken on Zoom. You do have to come to campus on the day of the exam to take the exam, okay? So please remember, exams are meant to be taken in person and not on Zoom. As I was saying before, you can use a scientific or graphing calculator. If it's a handheld traditional calculator, it cannot be on a tablet, a cell phone, or any of that. And then you are also not allowed to have any like smartwatches or any other electronic devices. Now you can bring your own laptops, but for the calculator, unless you are using Google Sheets, you will need to have a handheld calculator, okay? So here are the two dates, guys, for our exams. Your midterm is going to be on March 12th, and then the final exam is going to be on May 12th. And when we get close to the final, we'll talk a little bit more about how those two parts of the final work. So don't let that freak you out that there are two parts on the same day. We'll talk more about it when we get closer. Here's the course schedule that I already showed you in D2L. So it's the same one. It just kind of gives you a general idea of how we're doing the chapters breakdown and how we'll be working on them. So you can kind of see that here. Obviously with the advent of AI and all the other resources we have available online, we have to be just a little bit careful about, how much of the work is your own and how much of the work is being supplemented by, these resources. So this is a policy that has been put in place by the mathematics department and obviously Ames. So just be mindful that, the work you are submitting is your own work, or you are citing the resource you used if it's not your own work. Most of the idea is you are doing your own work. It's not a group assignment unless, I've told you to work on it as a group. But anything you are submitting should be your own work. So I would definitely take a couple minutes and look over this academic honesty policy here, because you do not want to do something that could be harmful, right? And we obviously don't want you to fail the course because of one of these reasons. So keep that in mind. That's very seriously taken at the college and with the department, and you want to be sure you are following those. These are just some tips in here about being successful in the class. Obviously, attend class, keep up with the homework assignment. I would say probably one of the biggest concerns I have with students is usually, from my experience, I have seen students will keep their math homework for the very last thing to do. So, we may work on like our English paper, history, biology, whatever may be. And then you're like, okay, now I'll go and do the math. This is not an easy class. This may not be algebra, but this is not an easy class, guys. You will have lots of homework problems. Some of them may have like 30 homeworks in one section itself. And then some of these problems have like 7 parts to them, 10 parts to them, 15 parts to them. Because, you have to go step by step to try and come up with your answer. So if you fall behind on your homework, you will not be able to catch up and get everything done in time. So my recommendation to you is do a little bit homework every day. Because if you fall behind, trust me, and we only have 2 exams here. If you do not take any one of them, you're not going to have enough grades to pass this class. You will fail. So this is going to be very, very time consuming. And I don't want to call it tedious, but you are going to be putting in a lot of time. So that is something to think about as you are moving forward. Ask questions. If you don't understand anything, that's what I'm here for. Ask questions so I can walk you through the problem. I can show you what to do. I really do like when students participate in class because that gives me an idea of how well you are understanding the concepts. And if you are not, then I can again step in and help you out, right? There are no makeup exams, there are no makeup work if you do miss anything. So you do want to be mindful of that. Again, be respectful towards each other, no improper behavior or, use of foul language in class. If you are having any issues, any concerns, come to me, and I will try to help you out. If you are upset with me, we can talk. You can email me, you can call, we can meet in person. Or you can reach out to the math department chair if there is a concern you have and you want to talk about it. So there are resources, but getting mad, getting upset is not going to be a helpful situation. And then this stuff of the rest of it is just, our normal behavior in class. We want to make sure we're not, sleeping during class time. We're not like eating. Beverages are okay, but obviously you want to try and avoid any food. Talking during class time, wrapping up before the class is dismissed. I will try to let you guys out right at 4 o'clock so you're not having to stay there longer. But yeah, just don't try to like leave class before it is dismissed if you don't have to be somewhere, if that's not an emergency situation. And again, academic honesty is taken very seriously on campus. So, we want to be mindful about our cell phone use when you're in the class or any other electronic device. Any kind of form of plagiarism or cheating will not be tolerated. So just stuff like that, you would normally expect in any classroom. So that's just a quick look at your course syllabus, guys. Were there any questions about the classroom policies or anything we discussed here? Anything that you want to further go into details about? Alrighty, so this syllabus is available in your course shell, so you can find that under the course information module. So if you just scroll down there, you will see, and I'll probably include a web page version also. I just did the PDF one for now, but if you wanted to have a web page version, I'll go ahead and post that also. So again, just giving you guys a quick second to see if you had any questions for me. Okay, while we are waiting on that, what I would like each and every one of you to do, if you have not done this already, is go under the MyLab Statistics module here in D2L and then click on either course home or the all assignments link, because I want to make sure all of you are registered in your homework platform before, we end class today, which I am actually going to talk a little bit more about chapter 1 before we dismiss. But before I get into that, I want to make sure you have entered into my stat lab. Because if you are in there, then I can see you. So you can see Omar, Cameron, and Aaron. I actually do see your names in here. That's wonderful. So Libni, looks like you were the only one who did not sign up. So just make sure you are. And I actually did have to go under the instructor mode so I could get to the grade book. But yeah, Libni, just make sure you're under My Lab Statistics. And I would say just click on the All Assignments link so I can see you in here. Now you do have the orientation homework here. So if you have not used MyStatLab before, it would be a good idea to go and look at that so you can just see how you need to enter answers and those kind of things. So go ahead and take care of that. You can see that is going to be open till Friday midnight, so you guys have time to work on that. I haven't put deadlines here yet because like I said, there were a few things I did need to modify about this. I need to remove the chapter exams and put a midterm in there. All of these, you can start working on the homework, obviously, if you want to. And then I'll go ahead and put the deadlines in there after our class today. I just wanted to make sure you guys at least had the homework to start looking at and working on. So I didn't do any modifications, but I did open them so you were able to start working on them. Alrighty, so let's talk a little bit about chapter 1 here. But before I did that, I just again wanted to see if anybody had any questions for me. Okay, let's give that page to open up. Alrighty, guys. So as mentioned previously, chapter 1 is all about understanding the concepts and terminology of statistics. So when we are talking about statistics, statistics itself, the word can be used as we're talking in terms of data, or we can obviously use statistics as a term of, we're talking about it in terms of the study, right? I'm trying to see how to make this guy bigger, but I guess there we go. So you can see, guys, when we are defining statistics, we're talking about it as being a science, right? It's a science about collecting data, organizing that data, summarizing it, and analyzing that information so that we are able to draw conclusions for it or answer questions. So we're talking about kind of setting up our data in a way that we can actually understand what it's telling us. And they're also saying, in addition, statistics is about providing a measure of confidence in any of those conclusions. And that's something we're going to be doing in that second half of our class when we talk about the inferential statistics. So think about like all the different places where we do in fact use statistics. So, we talk about statistics in student success, because obviously we're a college, so that's something we measure all the time. Like here they're talking about examples of, we hear on the radio that 50% of first marriages, 60% of second marriages, and 70%, 74% of third marriages end in divorce, right? So they are giving us statistics over here. Another interesting consideration about the facts is we can hear two different sources can report two different results, right? So look at this example over here. We're talking about November 10, 2015 poll by CBS, and the New York Times indicated that 62% of Americans believed the country was on the wrong track. But then you had another one here from November 17, 2015 by Bloomberg poll that said 69% of Americans believe that the country was on the wrong track. So is it possible that Americans who believe that the country was on the wrong track could increase by 7% in 1 week, or did something else go wrong in there, right? So this is kind of where we can use statistics to help understand why there's a difference between the two data. Think about all the places where statistics is thrown at you. Like I can think of, of course, we just had our general elections last year, so we can think about all the polls that people do at election time. We talk about statistics in sports all the time, right? Players and teams, how they are performing. You have statistics in terms of sports. What other examples can you think of where we talk about statistics, where data or information is being thrown at us? What would be some examples that come to mind to you? So you can put your answer in chat, or you can unmute yourself and tell me an example that way. So where can we see the use of statistics in everyday life?
Can think of like commercials, like if you're trying to sell toothpaste, you can put like 90% of dentists agree that this toothpaste is good or something.
Very good. Yeah, very good. Amazing. I love that example. Very nice, Aaron. All righty. Anybody else? Any other example comes to mind? Where could we see statistics being used? Omar, Libni, Cameron. So it's interesting, Aaron, you mentioned the toothpaste example. The one example I always use in class is Trident gum used to have these commercials where they would have like a panel of 5 dentists sitting at the table. And their tagline was 4 out of 5 dentists approve our gum, that it's good for your teeth, kind of thing. And the 5th dentist would always have like something happening to him. So either a squirrel ran up his pants, and that's why he was not able to do his little approval thing, because he was busy fighting a squirrel, or sometimes they would like dump water on him, so he was not able to. So that's how they were showing like 4 out of 5 dentists approved their gum. And I thought that was such a funny commercial, because they were like, oh, just because this 5th dentist got distracted, that's why we didn't get like 5 out of 5 approval. So yeah, that's exactly what it is one thing to keep in mind also about claims that companies or anybody might make. Like, let's say you said 90% of the dentists approve our toothpaste, kind of thing. What these companies will do is they will select a sample of dentists they want, and they will ask them, hey, do you approve of our toothpaste? And they will wait, because they will keep doing that sampling over and over again till they get that 90% they are looking for. So let's say they did the study once and they only got 70% of the dentists say, they will discard those results, go back and pick a new sample of dentists, test them, and see if they will get that 90% requirement, because they want that number to be there. So they will actually keep doing the study over and over again till they get that requirement that they are looking for. So it's very interesting how sometimes statistics can be manipulated intentionally and sometimes unintentionally to come up with that. And that's kind of what we want to break down in this case. So remember, we talked about how with statistics, we can do collection of information, then we do organization and summarization. We talk about analyzing our results so that we can draw conclusions and answer specific questions. And the last part, and that's what I'm reading from right here, is that the results should be reported using some measure that represents how convinced we are that our conclusions reflect reality. And that's what I was talking about, where they keep going over and over again with the group of dentists till they get that minimum 90% or whatever number they were requiring for. Okay, another terminology to kind of keep in mind is, guys, what we call as data. So the data is the information you are collecting and organizing, summarizing in this definition right over here. So that is what we call as data. The American Heritage Dictionary defines it as a fact or a proposition used to draw a conclusion or to make a decision. So remember, data can be a numerical value, but it can also be a non-numerical value, you know, so like we were talking about, you know, if we are talking here, they're talking about gender. So gender can also be data because we're looking at, you know, the different ways people maybe identify themselves, right? So that can also be data. Now you can, of course, again, read a little bit more information through those different examples and stuff here, kind of see how that works out. So this is what I was talking about, guys. I would like you to read the first 5 sections in here because look at all those different definitions we have here. So I mentioned sample. What does that mean? Well, we identify a study we want to do, right? Maybe we want to figure out, again, since Aaron brought up the idea of toothpaste, I'll just use that as an example. So maybe we talk about what is a favorite brand of toothpaste that people like. You know, the 2 main brands that I can think of at the top of my head is I think Crest and Colgate, right? I think those are the 2 big brands that I can think of. I'm not sure if there are other ones in there. So, you know, let's say we want to see which ones people prefer. So we then have to talk about the entire group that is being studied, as we would call a population. So let's say we wanted to study all the AIM students at the Fort Lupton campus. So we would say that is going to be our population that we have identified. Now, an individual is a person or an object that is a member of the population being studied. So it can be a person, but it can also be something else. Like if we were talking about favorite brand of or no, not that wouldn't work. Maybe how far gas mileage you get on a car, right? So in that case, your population would be cars and not people. So that's what we mean by an individual. It can be a person or it can also be an object. A sample is going to be a subset of your population that is being studied. So this is what I want you to think about. Now, Ames Fort Lupton campus has about 100 some students in there. You know, obviously, if we were on the Greeley campus, we would be talking a much, much larger number in thousands. But Fort Lupton being a smaller campus, maybe we have at the most 150 students on campus, right? Which is not a very big number, but it would still be very time consuming and tedious to try and ask every one of those 150 students what is their favorite brand of toothpaste. So what we could do is we could take a smaller sample and we say, you know what, how about we only pick 30 students out of those 150 because that might still be a more manageable number for us to get information on. So those 30 students are what become your sample. And those are the students we will be studying. So that's what we mean by the difference between a population and what a sample is. And as we actually move further into this chapter, you will see we talk about the different sampling techniques that we can use to figure out what's a good way to collect sample from a population that we have identified. Some other terminology to keep in mind, guys, when we are talking about the word statistic, this is different from statistics that we just talked about as a science where we do the study, but this is a statistic, which is a numerical summary from your sample. So this is the result you got from the sample that you have studied. So your descriptive statistics is the two subsections of statistics that we define. Descriptive statistics is where we talk about organizing and summarizing data. So descriptive statistics is describes data through numerical summaries, tables, and graphs, okay, which is what we're going to be doing in the next chapter. Inferential statistics uses methods that take a result from a sample, extend it to the population, and then measure the reliability of the result. And this is, guys, what we will be doing in the second half of this course. So this is where we will be talking about hypotheses testing and, you know, confidence intervals and those kind of things. So that will come very much at the end of this course, but we will be focusing more right now at the beginning on the descriptive statistics part of it, okay? When we are talking about a parameter, that's going to be a numerical study of a summary of a population. So look at the difference between what a statistic is, which is a numerical study that is based on a sample, and a parameter is a numerical summary based on population. So those refer to two different groups here, guys. Statistic goes with sample, parameter goes with population. And I think the easiest way to remember is S goes with S and P goes with P, right? Parameter, population, P and P, statistic and sample, S and S. So that's a good way to remember which measurement goes with which population or sample here. And then they're just kind of breaking it down further for parameter versus statistics. So again, I would ask you guys to look at this, detailed when you're doing your reading over here. So the process of statistics here, guys, we start by identifying our research objective. So there might be a question that a researcher wants answered. The question might even help us identify the population that we want to study. Collect the data needed to answer the questions. So once you have that question, like I said, what is your favorite brand of toothpaste? Okay, we identified our population as AIM students at Fort Lupton campus. So now we need to collect the data. Like I was telling you before, collecting research on an entire population is difficult and expensive. So we typically look at a sample, and this is going to be a very, very important process of knowing how you want to collect your sample. And again, like I said, that is something we're going to be doing later on. So once you have your sample, you obviously want to make sure your data is collected correctly and the conclusions are drawn properly. So if the data is not collected correctly, then your conclusions are going to be meaningless because your data is flawed, which means your conclusion is not going to be anything worth looking at. Do not overlook the importance of appropriate data collection. Once you have your data collected, then we get into more details about describing the data. So this is where we can obtain an overview of the data, help determine the type of statistical methods the researcher should use. And this is where we are getting into creating frequency distributions, histograms, charts, graphs. We'll get into calculations of mean, median, mode, mid-range, range, standard deviation, and all of that. And once you have all of your data kind of organized, then we get into the inference part of it. So this is where we talk about extending the results obtained from the sample to the population, because obviously, we want to make sure this applies to everybody that this study could benefit or, be concerned about. Report a level of reliability on the results. So this is where confidence intervals comes into play. And of course, this is where we are getting into the reliability part is chapters 5 through 8. And then the inferential techniques is 9 through 12. We're only going till chapter 11. We're not doing chapter 12. So that's kind of how we're breaking down the course and the process of studying statistics over here, guys. Alrighty, so this is where I'm actually going to stop because we are at 4 o'clock. So again, guys, what I want you to do is read through sections 1 through 5. So when we meet in class on Monday, we can actually take some of these and apply them to examples. So, I'm not having to just go over definitions with you. You will already have an idea of the definition, so we can actually use them in examples. Okay, so that's what we're going to try and do on Monday. So let me know if you have any questions. I'll be glad to answer any questions. And if not, guys, have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you on Monday. Be careful, everyone. Stay safe. Bye, guys.